Hey, everybody, it's John from John Talks Indian Cinema with another 10ish minute review. Okay, so uh, I was thrilled that I got to watch an Aamir Khan and Ajay Devgn film, the only film that they starred in, worked together. And the film is Ishq from 1997, and it was recommended by at Imperious King, a longtime viewer. Thank you for that. This was a huge blockbuster film at the time, a comedy, which I will talk about in a second. It's directed by Indra Kumar. It stars Aamir Khan, and you guys know, and Ajay Devgn. You know how I feel about both those guys. Uh, I've seen I've seen a ton of their films. Juhi Chawla, Kajol, who I saw in Fanaa, which I did not like, and My Name is Khan, which I liked, and Dalip Tahil, who's in Ra One and Gandhi. Okay, the story. The story is about two guys, one rich, one poor, two girls, one rich, one poor, who fall in love. The rich guy with the poor girl, the rich girl with the poor guy. Ajay Devgn plays Ajay, the rich guy, who falls in love with Kajol. And Amir's character, what was his name? I wrote this down. See, I really got to do a better job of writing this stuff down. I think it was Raja. Yeah, Raja. He loved Mar, 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 no, wait, I got to get this right because you guys will chew me up alive if I don't get the name right. I thought it was like Madura. Madura. Wait a minute. I'm gonna get it right because I mispronounce too many names, as you guys tell me over and over again. Okay, here we go. She played Madhu. Madhu. And Madhu's father, who's rich, and Ajay's father, who's rich, don't want them to marry the poor people. And the one thing about this movie is there's a real disdain for the poor people by the rich people. In fact, there's one line in here that I actually wrote down, something about insects and termites. That's how he describes the poor people. So it really is about caste more than anything else. Now, so the story is how they ultimately end up together and all the crazy antics that happen in between. So as far as the story goes, I mean, there wasn't really much of a story. It was more like a collection of scenes with a tiny bit of a thread. But I will say this comedy takes a really dark turn in about the last hour or so. Like it becomes like a completely different movie. Now, before you all jump down my throat and say, "Well, there are tonal shifts in Indian movies," I get that, but if you look at the first three quarters of this, and as far as a comedy goes, it's not my brand of humor that I like in these films. To watch Amir Khan and Ajay Devgan doing the mugging that they were doing in the over the top stuff, like I'll tell you who the second half changed, but the most real character for the first three quarters of the film was Kajol. Like her acting style compared to everyone else's was much more natural. And I thought she was pretty good in Fauna, even though I didn't like the film. But I thought she was really good in this. And I'm such big fans of Amir Khan and Ajay Devgan that it was a little startling to see them doing such broad stuff, more than I've ever seen them do, especially Devgun. I mean, Amir Khan does it. He does this bug eye thing in some of his movies, like PK, especially. But just even the overacting that he was doing. Now in the second half, what happens is uh, Kajol ends up getting kidnapped, and Amir Khan's character's got to save her, but it's really just a setup because they rip off her clothes, and after he saves them, he's hugging her and trying to make her feel good. They take pictures to make Ajay's character think that they're having an affair, and that's the father's plan to break them apart. But once they kidnap her and he saves her, and then he's accused of all this awful stuff, then it becomes a completely different movie. I mean, there's a brutal fight scene between two best friends, Raja and Ajay, and they're beating each other up and they're bloodied. And at one point, Amir Khan, to exact revenge on them, takes a pipe to Ajay and Madhu's car and takes her into this back room and like chokes her and tears her clothes off. Now that's part of a ploy too, to get pictures to prove that they're innocent. But that second half of the film really took, you went from this over the top broad slapstick humor to a pretty dark film. So it was very a schizophrenic film. So as far as the performances go, it's tough for me, and I'm trying to be I want to be aware of how big a film like this was at the time. And at the time, this is the type of humor that these movies had. And they're very family friendly, but it's this stuff where, and this again, for me, watching it after watching all these actors in contemporary films, it's such a stark contrast. It's hard to look at it through the eyes of 1997, right? But everything's got a musical cue, uh, which I don't understand. Like someone will look at something and then they look right at the camera and then you hear pa 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 or some musical cue, and they did that like the camera would zoom in on their face and they make these real sharp turns. Did they just happen in another movie that I just watched? And I don't know. I find that very soap opera, very overacting. Now again, I want to make this clear. I get that of the era, that's the style that they did. And that is what was common. I totally get that. I'm just not a big fan of it. So it does impact how I watch these films. I mean, this is the second Amir Khan comedy that I watched, although I thought he was much better in the other one where he had the three kids than this. I thought he was much better in the second half. That's when you see like, okay, this is our Amir Khan, right? But there's also, it's funny about these movies, and I brought it up in the last review I did, but there's a lot of crying. And there's one scene where they go to the four main characters, and it's one shot, and then two, and then three, and then four, and they're all crying. They all get tears in their eyes. So the performances, uh, I'll give them a 3, only because like Ajay Devgn, I've never seen him do. Well, I shouldn't say that. Golmaal, which I hated, he kind of did this stuff, but all the films I've seen him in, all the contemporary stuff, to watch him do the big eyes and the goofy stuff, it's jarring. It really is. Now you say, well, he's versatile. He can do that. Okay, I get it. You're right, but it was jarring. So 3. The music, there wasn't a ton of it, but there were big scenes, like big numbers. In fact, there's one song where it's a real stylized set, right? It almost looks like a Hollywood production, like on a soundstage. But here's my question. There's a girl in a white dress in that scene who you never see again. And she was like I don't know who she was. I've never seen her before. She was gorgeous. I mean, beautiful girl. And she did the number with the two guys, and then that was it. You never see her again. I was like, well, who is this? I think that might have even been before they introduced the two other women. So I thought maybe she was going to be one of the love interests, but she wasn't. Um, I like the musical numbers. You know, they're colorful, and watching those two dancing much differently than they dance older. But they were very, very, let's do a number for the sake of doing a number. It really didn't advance the plot. It wasn't kind of organic, but it was still was pretty good. So they did that first song with her, which I thought was great because I can't stop thinking about her. Um, what else do they do? There was a couple of songs like they did one in it wasn't a disco. It felt like a disco, but it wasn't. I like that one too. Fifth song, Ajay gets out of the hospital after getting stabbed by a pitchfork and is out pretty quickly. They dance on buses and a bunch of scaffolding. I like that number too. I like that song. The sixth song after all the stuff went down. Mahood and Raja, lots of crying in that one. I think I mentioned that before. And the final song is when they all get back together. So I didn't find the music annoying. It wasn't like, the last movie I did with Salman Khan, there were 13 songs. So it wasn't overwhelming with music. They were long numbers, but it wasn't overwhelming. So I'm going to give the songs a 3. My verdict, it's funny because there were elements of it I liked. Again, the acting style, I'm just not into that. It's just too over the top. Like there's one assassin who they burn his crotch. And that was a funny scene because to put it out there, kicking him, stomping on him. And Aamir, Raja and Ajay get everyone to kick him. But then he gets right up and he does bad stuff. Now that was the one scene where he gets killed pretty ugly with the pitchfork. But that style just doesn't work for me. And then when it took that dramatic turn, it's so jarring from the rest of the movie where it's so over the top and funny, and then it gets real dark. I mean, like really dark, with almost no humor at all. That didn't necessarily work for me. But I will say, because and this was the same thing with the Salman Khan film, the curiosity of seeing Amir Khan and Ajay Devgn so young at nearly the beginning of their careers and knowing all the films I've watched of theirs now and how different they are. That I find that pretty interesting. And listen, I, I love old films because there was even stuff they sped up the film certain scenes, which is what they did in silent films. That first half before, not the half, but before the real dark stuff happens, it kind of had that feel to it, like a Laurel and Hardy, a Bud Abbott and Lou Costello, kind of had that feel. But overall, I'm going to give it a 3, just for the curiosity factor. It wasn't great. It wasn't awful like some of the other ones I've seen. So, I mean, Imperious King, I feel bad because this is like the third one that I've done with this. And it's funny because people in the comment section have said they know which ones I'm going to like and which ones I'm not going to like. And it's pretty obvious now that I enjoy watching these films just for the sake of seeing the style from that era. And I appreciate that. But I'm watching this movie, I'm trying to be objective, and I'm looking at it through my eyes today, and based on all the movies that I've seen that are more contemporary, um, sometimes it's tough. That style just doesn't work for me. So that's my review of Ishq. Um, Let me know what you guys think in the comments because I know this is a big hit. I mean, I've seen the reviews on it and everyone raves about the music and the performances. I'd love to know what you guys think. Let me know what you think, okay? Once again, we're getting closer and closer and closer, and hopefully I hit that 100. I hope with your help, I think I can do it. I really do appreciate you guys watching. It's great. But that's all I have for this one. So, wait, I gotta wait. Ooh, see, I'm trying to do that over the top stuff. Thanks for watching, everybody. And we are going to talk to you soon at John Talks Indian Cinema with what? With what, you ask? another 10ish minute review. Thank you for watching.
Zooby dooby nache क्यों पागल stupid man.
Zooby dooby pampara, zooby dooby param pam. Zooby dooby nache